Hello YouTube fam, hope you enjoy part 2 of my highlights of Paris, where a surprise like this can greet you out of nowhere. I mean, why not dance tango by the river in the middle of the week? It is the simple experiences like this that enrich their lives, whether dancing, enjoying a long meal with friends, or spending a cloudy day at the museum. There is always so much to do. While there are plenty of well-known tourist sites in Paris, there are some hidden gems like the Institute Du Monde Arabe tucked in Paris's Latin Quarter. This museum's mission is to create a bridge between Europe and the Middle East through art and culture. If you need a bite to eat in this area, there are plenty of authentic Middle Eastern eateries with homemade Lebanese, Syrian, or Tunisian dishes to feed your appetite. Then for dessert, you can top it all off with a Parisian chocolate walk where you sample the best chocolates this city has to offer. So let's take a deeper dive into these experiences right now on Feasts in the Middle East. First stop is a family-run Lebanese restaurant for a bite to eat. Falafel is a huge hit for students at Sorbonne University, which is just steps away. And fortunately, we got there after the lunch rush. Just by looking at the dishes in the glass case, I could tell the food was authentic Arab home cooking, just like my mama and I cook at home. Okay, so this is a story of Clarisse and Rima, two women that work together. So the story about them is Rima is from Syria. She came after the 2015 from the Syrian war. She's a Syrian refugee. She was a chef de cuisine in Syria and she was looking for work. And this is a Lebanese restaurant where Clarisse worked. And so Clarisse took her on. And so that's how they ended up working with each other, both Syrian and Lebanese, in a restaurant, working synergistically with one another. And so a lot of these restaurants usually have this sort of refugee background, fleeing war, starting a new life. And they're creating some amazing food here. I ended up getting the mixed plate that has meat in it, and my friend Tracy here got the vegetarian plate. They have falafel, metabbel, which is the eggplant dip. Of course, hummus has to be in the mix, a little dolma, and roasted potatoes and tabbouleh. I think it's a perfect little snack right before a museum. It's nice and light. And you like to order vegetarian food, right, Tracy?
I eat vegetarian often.
You do, right? Okay, so so it's very filling, even though it's vegetarian. I got the meat option because I want to try their shawarma and their shish tawouk. And then Morgan She already started. Let's look at a cross-section of your sandwich. Let's take a look. She got the shawarma, the chicken shawarma. Very nice. And so this is what we're going to be feasting on right before the Arab Institute Du Monde. So their chicken shawarma is excellent, really good spices. I highly recommend. Their shish tawouk also on point, and it's made with chicken breast. So they use chicken thigh for their shawarma and then chicken breast for their shish tawouk. Their dips are off the hook, just like my parents make them. As you can see, we went to town on the hummus, and they also put tom and tabbouleh, again, just like my mom makes. What's neat is you can go on any quarter of the globe, but Arabs in the diaspora tend to preserve the recipes from their families and they bring them to the new country and they create them just like they have the old country, and that's how they keep their culture alive wherever they live. Okay, so we're finally at the Institute De Monde Arabe. This was built in 1987 and it's made of glass and steel. It's very modern on purpose because it's supposed to build a bridge between European culture and Arab culture. So even though it's modern on the outside, it has a lot of modern as well as classical works on the inside. The bottom floor is an Arab coffee house and the top floor has a fantastic restaurant with great views, except that won't be open again till September. I think they wanted to renovate it. So right now we're going to show you the inside of this fabulous museum. This museum takes you on a fascinating journey with ancient antiquities from ancient Egypt, Tunis, Algeria, and Morocco, as well as traveling exhibits from the Levant. There's also riveting art and photography that covers nomadic populations over the centuries and how they developed a common linguistic and cultural identity based on their values. You can later see how the West affected Arab culture as they began to adopt Western traditions and dress. I personally enjoyed the wedding clothing gallery with rich embroidery, and I thought we had it bad with our high heels. Can you imagine wearing these shoes? Hopefully no one had bunions back then. They also have a gallery showing ancient ornate jewelry, and for music lovers, they have an exhibit on Arabic instruments like the oud or the guitar, tabla, and the kanun, a string instrument that makes a melodramatic sound. Their museum store has an impressive collection of gifts like this pottery from Palestine, as well as from Morocco. And finally, my favorite thing to do when I come to this museum is go to the 9th floor where you could use the bathroom before you take off, but they also have a spectacular panoramic view of Paris, starting from the Notre Dame, which you could see was damaged in the fire, the River Seine, the bateau bus that goes through town, and all of the beautiful architecture that makes this city so unique and spectacular. Speaking of the bateau bus, you can see the heart of Paris by boat. They sell day passes so you can ride with the freedom to hop on and off as many times as you want and enjoy the best parts of the French capital at your own pace. With that in mind, let's explore another hidden gem of Paris, the Chocolate Walk. Okay, right now we're about to enter one of the most popular chocolate shops in Paris. Now, the chocolate here is beyond my wildest imagination, and we're gonna get an educational tour plus a sample of the chocolates. I couldn't ask for a more exciting tour here in Paris. I don't know about you guys, but I look for any excuse to shovel my face with the best chocolate samples Paris has to offer, while learning a thing or two. Our French guide not only shared the history of French chocolate, but she also helped us train our palates to recognize quality.
A lot of times chocolate nowadays, especially low-end chocolate, has some carnauba wax, it has palm oil, things like that, soy lecithin, but it changes the composition and the melting point of the chocolate because cocoa butter melts at our body temperature. It turns to molten lava. So you'll bite into it, it's nice and crunchy, and then it just melts away. If you ever put a piece of chocolate in your mouth and it's not melting, you're pasty, and it's not pure cocoa butter at all. And this bar has 4 ingredients, which is kind of a specialty thing. There's cocoa paste, then you have cocoa butter, which is the fat from the cocoa plant, sugar and vanilla, and that's it.
If chocolate is based on the molten lava factor, I would give this chocolate shop called Cluizel a 10 out of 10 on the flavor explosion scale. They had a mind-blowing assortment of organic truffles, clusters, and bars. And the bonus is these are chocolates you could feel good about because they're sourced by fair trade and ethical plantations in South America and Brazil. Then they are completely manufactured in France. This particular truffle was made in Normandy. Okay, so he said this one is ultra creamy. And it's really soft like a ganache inside, so it's like biting into a miniature chocolate cake, just like the fudge icing without the cake, which for me is heaven because I don't really care for cakes. I'm more an icing girl. So if you want to try a particular one, this one is absolutely incredible. Look at that, look at the inside. Okay, so this particular chocolate has coconut from the Philippines, and then the inside has almonds in it. Look at the inside. The toasted coconut inside, really, I mean, this one, if you are a coconut fan, this is like Almond Joy to the 10th level. Wow. The next chocolate shop we visited was called Jean-Paul Evie, named for a renowned pastry chef who's super passionate about creating high-quality chocolate. His collection includes chocolate-covered roasted almonds as well as truffles of ganache or crispy pralines. They also have statement gifts like dark chocolate Eiffel Towers or a chocolate pump created when Stiletto magazine asked Jean-Paul to create a shoe. Between the chocolate and the shoes, this chocolate maker is speaking to my soul. But I just can't decide what would taste better, the heel or the insole. Thank you for joining me on part 2 of my Paris foodie adventure. Just to let you know, these chocolate shops also ship to the USA. So now you could try them without having to buy a plane ticket. I will include the links in the description box below, and I'd love to know in the comments which destination you would hit up first if you visited Paris. See you guys soon.